It's 10:30 sharp, and it's time to kick off this webinar. Hi and welcome. This is the next webinar series, and today's topic will be about how to succeed with B2B content by utilizing content assets in a superb way. And this session is the part 2 of our webinar series, to succeed with composable commerce by using the Columbus accelerator approach. And we have a speaking slot today of approximately 45 minutes or so, and then we will open up for questions at the end. So if you have any questions during the webinar or any concerns or ideas, please pop them in the chat and we will pick up the questions at the very end. And my name is Robin Slots, and I work at Columbus. And in the same room here we have.
Yeah, nice to be here. My name is Robert, and I work as a solution engineer at Contentful.
Perfect. And dialing in from a distance, we also have in Malmö office, I believe, we have.
Yes, Johannes. So I'm a partner manager at Contentful, based out of the Öresund region and currently in Malmö. Nice to be here.
Great. And before we kick off today's topic, I want to inform about our next Composable Commerce Accelerator. And this accelerator consists of pre-built architecture, user interfaces, services components, and integrations, so you can be up and running and modify your customer journeys, launch promotions, and add channels with speed. And it's an all SaaS components. When we have drafted this accelerator, has been carefully selected based on the MACH architecture, meaning that they are microservices based, they use an API first approach, they are natively running on the cloud, and are offering headless services. So meaning that you are ready for change. Sorry about the screen. And our accelerator allows you to fulfill your business objectives, meaning that you can tailor rich and differentiated customer experiences and add these business components as your business needs increase over time. And the next accelerator is based on our gained industry knowledge that we have gained over the past 11 years being in business, and during the more than 300 plus e-commerce projects that we have built. So with the help of our next accelerator, we help businesses transform and transition into the world of composable commerce, allowing companies to fully benefit the best of breed technologies by these leading partners. And we have put to market a very open and flexible package that allow for platform modularity by using our 3X combination, as we call it. So the experience piece means that we take the customer first approach in our front end. That means that we are powering the entire experience in the front end by applying US best practices, atomic design, and design system approach to ensure a rich and powerful and super fast front end experience. The explore piece means that we allow for innovation and experimentation to happen at a much, much higher pace. So by providing tools to deploy individual business component and make POCs much faster allows companies to innovate at a much higher pace. And lastly, extend, meaning that you can compose your solution based on your business needs and extend or add business logic if need be. That means that over time you will have a flexible and scalable solution to help you reduce also the total cost of ownership over time. So we are really proud of this launch, and this is again the second series to then see how content will help enable the composable journey. And by that, I will leave the floor over to the Contentful team to help me introduce today's topic. So Johannes, I believe it's over to you.
Yes, thank you, Robin. Yeah. So once again, happy to be here and also very happy to be part of the next accelerator. We named our little piece here, so you want to build a helicopter, and I'm going to get more into that, what we mean about that by some examples. But if we go forward here in our slides, we're going to touch upon 3 different things here today. I'm going to start off by explaining a bit of what is actually composable and how do you compare it to a monolith solution. And from there, we're going to go over to how other companies actually use Contentful today to create great visual and branding experiences. And after that little piece, I'm going to hand over to Robert. He's going to show how Contentful actually looks under the hood and to see what we can do from a Contentful perspective. But moving on and moving to the helicopter method. But just before that, some of you might not actually know what Contentful is. Very easily explained, we're a composable content platform that delivers content to any type of digital experience. So either if it's your website, an app, in-store experience, Contentful can be used to deliver photos, videos, text in a seamless and scalable way. And now we're gonna move over to the helicopter example here. So to describe what composable is and the benefits of composable, I try to dumb it down so even I can understand it. Let's say you want to revamp your digital presence, your e-commerce store or your business portals or something like that. And let's use a toy helicopter as an example. The classical way of doing it in a monolith is that you have a vision of something you want to accomplish. And in this case, you want to deliver a helicopter. You buy then a model helicopter, you glue it together, you paint it, and voila, after some time, you have the helicopter ready to go. The issue here is that in some cases, what you were thinking in the beginning of what you wanted to deliver might not actually be what your customer wants. Times are changing, times are rough. It's important to be flexible. And then to revamp or use this helicopter, it's quite hard if it's all glued together and if it's not composable in its way. And what then happens is that you might end up with both unhappy customers, unhappy internal stakeholders as well. And it can be a very time-consuming and money-consuming business that you gotten yourself into. So instead of buying this model helicopter, why not try out to build with Lego? And this is a very popular way of describing composable. And I know this little Lego helicopter, it consists of 2,000 pieces. A composable setup is way less than 2,000 pieces. But what you're able to do is that you're able to modify it over time. You can rebuild it. You can fit it into different type of needs. You can expand it to other types of use cases. Maybe in the beginning you thought you needed a police helicopter, but in the end you end up actually needing a rescue helicopter or want to take passengers for other types of flights. And this is what's so beautiful with composable architecture, that you're able to test it. It's easy to go to market with. You can be very flexible, agile, and really build with speed and adapt to ever-changing things around you. And what this then hopefully does is that you will end up with very, very happy customers and very, very happy internal employees. Moving on from this little example, and where does Contentful fit in? We do basically one thing, and we do it really well, and that is to deliver content. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we can deliver it basically to anywhere you want, either if it's a website, mobile app, an Apple Watch, for example. You can integrate other systems to Contentful. You can integrate your e-commerce platform for editors to have a very nice view, which Robert is going to show later. But it's very flexible. It's basically an API, so you're very free to build in the way you want. And our ethos is build once and then share everywhere. And to show how some customers have actually done this, I'm going to share 2 examples. And the first one is a brand I think you're all pretty familiar with. They sell furniture and they're from Sweden. And IKEA had this issue, especially during COVID when their stores were shut down, that they weren't able to share or to bring the experience of being in the IKEA store to their online presence. So before, if you went into IKEA and you wanted to buy something, you already needed to just search for it and know kind of what you were looking for, which meant that customers shopped less. I think we all know how it is to go to IKEA, that you go in for some candles and some napkins and some meatballs, and you end up maybe buying a couch. So what they wanted to do was to actually bring this in-store experience to their website and apps. And this is something they've been able to do in a very rapid way and customizable way through Contentful. So what we see here on their website is these digital showrooms that they have been able to build. You can have different types of showrooms. It can be anything from the autumn news, as in this case, and that is something has a new lower price. And what is so nifty and nice about this is that when you hover over these showrooms, you actually get the actual items here and that you're able to buy. And if I actually click in here, this is just a great example of an amazing customer experience online. You have the product here, you have different type of content to showcase the products. You already from this page can see, for example, it snaps up where I'm located, which is my closest warehouse. You have all the different information regarding the product fetched from different type of systems. And I can already here, for example, see if I would want to go to the warehouse, I can even see like where is this located to be picked up. And the beauty of Contentful is that it's very customizable to different type of markets. So for example, if I go to the Finnish IKEA, here is a completely different set of digital showrooms adapted to that market. And IKEA was able to customize this and go live with different type of showrooms. Before they had to, it took weeks to deliver this. And with Contentful, we're down to days. So it's a great experience, both for the customers, but also for the editors working at IKEA. Another example is the Danish brand Bang & Olufsen has been using Contentful for quite some time. They were also using a monolith where they had a really decoupled or an experience that wasn't streamlined. They had one web page for the Bang & Olufsen brand and one for their e-commerce store. They weren't really able to utilize content to deliver the brand online. And they also wanted to connect their digital presence to their in-store. So if you go into a Bang & Olufsen store today, they also deliver content in the stores from Contentful. But what they've been able to do is to really bring their brand to an online world. And they're doing this through multiple different types of content. It's not only pictures, they're also using animations, they're using text. And this experience is really aligned with their brand, and they're able to deliver this quickly and at scale to different types of markets. And we're really proud at Contentful to be working with these type of brands. We've been battle tested a lot, and that is why we are one of the market leaders within this space. Going back to the presentation from these beautiful examples, I'm gonna hand it over to my dear colleague Robert in Stockholm.
Thank you, Johannes. And this session will be a bit more hands-on, and I will focus on 3 topics. How do you actually create content in Contentful? How do you work with previous and editorial team? Or how do you compose content that lives in a different system, such as an e-commerce system, for example? And finally, how do you manage different languages or workflows that you might have in Contentful? And for those who have not seen Contentful before, I'm now logged into the Contentful web app, and I'm in a dedicated space called Columbus demo site. The experience for editorial teams or marketer teams is that they spend the most time in the content area where they can work with all of the content that exists in their experience. In this scenario, it's the e-commerce site, so you have content types like a landing page, a product page, you have SEO metadata, you have different components to build up the experience you're looking for. But let's take the landing page as an example. You can also do free text search in Contentful in order to find the specific content you should work with. I'm now reviewing the homepage in this demo site, and Contentful store all the data or manage all the data as pure data. And the big benefit with that is that content becomes reusable no matter which channel you are communicating to, or if you want to distribute content between external or internal system. So that's the purpose of storing or managing content as pure data. Still, marketers or editors are able to work with something we call live preview. So you can actually preview the content directly in Contentful. You can preview it in mobile device, desktop, or any other experience where you have content. In this example, we're reviewing a homepage that is built up by different components that you can see. Some of this data comes from the e-commerce system, like, for example, this product recommendation here. But let's say I want to do some changes. And it's as simple as just clicking edit and you're going directly into that specific field. So maybe I want to change this text to find out more. You can see all of the changes I'm doing is reflected in real time. Furthermore, maybe I want to change the design of this component. Maybe I want the image on the left-hand side and change the background color. So with one click, I can change the image to the left-hand side, as well as I can also change the background color. Some customer wants this flexibility, and some customer wants more restriction over what should be published or not. So this is valid points where you take that decision, and you either design Contentful in a really flexible way, so you have a lot of flexibility from a content or editorial point of view, but you can also enforce more governance and strict rules in order to control what is published or not. So how do you compose content that lives somewhere else? And I think this is a good example here. You have a product slider here. Let's change the headline to recommended products and stuff. So we have some products here and remove some of them. And this is an example of how we directly from Contentful in a seamless way can connect with the commerce system. So by clicking here, select products, I have direct access to the commerce system. So it should be seamless. You don't have to leave Contentful in order to assemble data that lives in another system. Maybe I want to drag and drop this product so it's listed in the first place instead. So this is one example of how you can work in Contentful and with one click add product data that exists in another system.
I could just add into the composable commerce architecture typically means that you need to work a bit differently with managing or merchandising your different storefronts and experiences. And historically, teams are used to work in monolithic solutions where the bridge between what is the e-commerce system and the CMS system has been rather rigid, and it's one UI that kind of means that the population and enrichment of content happens at one place, and then the publication and merchandising happens at another place. And enable everything to be API first and composable. Historically, this has been a bit of a challenge. I know when we address customers, I think this is great example of showing both live preview, but this more classical, what you see is what you get editor that's now natively available, where you have product in the system. So I believe from this perspective, editors will work more in the Contentful system than they have historically done, perhaps in an e-commerce system to manage these merchandising rules. So just as a differentiator, how it actually differs.
It's a really good point, and we have focused a lot of that to make it more easy to work directly from Contentful, previewing it and assembly content from various contexts, and with one click be able to publish it no matter what channel you're working in. So to summarize, preview is something we enable market or editorial team in order to actually review exactly how the content looked like, and with one click be able to publish it no matter channel you're working in. In the way we integrate in the composable world is through apps. So you can easily install apps exactly like you have done with your starter package with Next. And this is the beauty of composable, is that you are able to connect with various channels or various apps and build your Lego that Johannes was talking about. And I'm going to invite you in the discussion here as well, and just ask more specifically how you thought when you designed your solution, and how Contentful played in this role.
Yeah, I think it was a very key element for us to actually allow to have an enterprise scalable system that allows marketers and companies to both benefit the world of utilizing content on the e-commerce part of the website, as well as the corporate side of websites. Because when we engage with clients in this space, we typically see that they have content in different repositories, one maybe for the corporate website, others for internal use, and then the e-commerce is all living in separate systems with its own content pools. So having Contentful was kind of the game changer for us in enabling companies to go to market quickly, because we can then help and guide to make different processes behind the scenes to actually utilize the whole benefits of your idea of producing and publishing content once, create the content once, and then publish it everywhere. I think that's the whole philosophy, but what we really stand for in order of driving speed and innovation to market. But that also played very nicely into our more B2B setting, where typically you have multiple systems to produce content and present it for customers. So in order for us to allow systems to be less, but allow for a more seamless experience, the Contentful system was the perfect choice for us, actually.
Thank you, and great to hear that. So yeah, with one click I can publish this content, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on more kind of translation and languages. So you saw me changing the CTA text to find out more. But what if I have this site in multiple language? So what you can do in Contentful, and that many customers like IKEA are doing, is that they have a global presence, and then requires that you have your content in different languages, right? So in this example, we have the site in 4 different languages: German, Japanese, and Spanish. So simply enable that. You can now see that we have the headline, the body text, and the CTA text in those corresponding languages. You can see that I've not done any translation for the English to German, Japanese, and Spanish, for example. So here we see customer doing follow different patterns. One is, of course, yes, you can do all of the translation in Contentfully. Normally, then you would control this with governance, so you have a dedicated team or person that only have access to, for example, the German-specific content. And you can apply different workflow in order to maybe notify that team. So for example, I might want to start this workflow here, You have the content in progress, and if I move the content to translation, then I move it to the translation team that get the notification that this content needs a review or should be translated. But we also see many customers in the composable world, they might have a specific translation system that they use. And a big benefit of what we've talked about APIs is that it makes it, and handling content as data, it makes it more easy to import or export content between systems. And many of our customers also use external translation tool in order for more streamlined or automated way in order to translate the content. In this example, I'm going to use some AI in order to translate the content, just for the sake of translating it. So let's click translate here, and I now, in an automated way, translated the CTA text to the 4 different languages. Automation is a big topic as well that we see many customers focusing on, that we interact with, and automated translation is one hot topic that we discussed with many of the customers. So to summarize, translation, is a big topic. We have many global customers which handles lots of different content in different regions, and you need a tool that are able to fit in after your specific needs. Might be that you manage translation in an external tool and need the requirement of integrating between those systems. Or you might want to control it directly in Contentful, have a central translation team and work more with governance internal workflow.
And we see that from our perspective, B2B companies typically have a central marketing team. They produce content assets or even full content packages to roll out campaigns or to streamline the brand perception. And then to be able to produce these content assets or content packages to then allow for the content teams to do their local adaptation on top of the content package is what I find the most seamless within the system, because you can easily utilize the translation feature, but you also have the kind of master content package to kind of then iterate to make a local version, like Johannes was showing on the IKEA site, for instance. So the kind of showroom page has its general theme and concept, and then you can adapt the local content tweaks or language to messaging to fit the local market. I think you do that with ease with collaborative workflows and all the kind of support within the tool and extensions that you have.
Yeah, really good input. And when I'm done with the page, you can either schedule it, so set a schedule for a specific time or date, or just directly publish it. So to summarize, I've worked in the content area, focused on a home page. We discussed about preview, enable editorial team to actually preview the content before they publish it, as well as how you can compose content from different systems, such as commerce tools that you work with, in order to assemble the content and make it more streamlined before you publish it.
And I think from our perspective, what we find so great with this packaging, again, it seems so seamless when you present the WYSIWYG or the live preview editor, but I think this is maybe where customers that we engage with have a bit afraid of utilizing headless CMS or even going composable, because it seems like the conversation has always been, oh, but the editorial teams want to preview the content, they want to see what they are producing, they want to be using this old school editing, if you may. And I just find it really, really great. Is there because we when we did these headless builds in the beginning, the live preview feature was obviously something you could create yourself, and pretty much in all projects we had to go out and build this kind of preview experience. Now it's built in natively. Can you just share a little bit on that?
So by default, in the first 10 years of Contentful's history, the experience for editorial marketing teams was what you see now. Basically have content and it presented as data. And we listen to feedback from customer, and the main objective from marketers editorial team was, where is my content? How do I work with it? And therefore we started to develop our product in this direction, and live preview is a big step for actually enabling more big experience for editorial team. So we do huge investment in this area to make it more easy for marketers or editorial team as well, because developers they really love Contentful and the API first approach, and therefore we also have a really big focus of making the marketer teams even more efficient when they work with content.
I think that's a great statement, because that's exactly how it's been. It's been perhaps you're the leader within that space, and it's been a very developer friendly tool. Now I really love what you've done with the product. It's more a marketer tool now, I'd say, and seeing that. For instance, the commertools product catalog is natively integrated. You could then, as I was saying before, spend the most time in the Contentful system, which is a huge relief, I would say, for all marketers and e-commerce teams, because this is the experience where you can enable these workflows, you can collaborate and create these unique experiences, and it's fast. So as you said, you can spend more time of composing the content and less time of asking your tech teams to build new templates, or how this kind of rendering experience should look like, with how the content should be modeled on the page, because that's, as you were showing, you could easily play around with and move these content around on the page without intervening with IT.
Exactly. So when you look at the first project, you set up your project or your solution in a way that editors should be independent from developers and do create the content that they should publish in different channels, as well as developers team should focus on what they do best, and they should be totally decoupled from each other. And this headless solution, it natively brings teams that they are separated, right? You can work with your front end as the HTML code is not interacted in the actual content itself. That's the benefit of having this setup, the decoupled setup, that teams can act faster because they are independent from each other.
No, I think that's great, and that's exactly what's gonna reduce time to market. That's what's gonna increase creativity in this space. So you're not limited of filing a ticket to IT and then wait for weeks and weeks for small changes to happen that in theory you should be able to edit within seconds yourself. So I think that's really, really great. Thank you very much. We will then move over to questions. I will have to use a separate tool here to see if we have any other questions coming in. When I do, well, this is a classic one, I guess, and we get this too sometimes. But if I ask, it's great with the headless CMS system, but if it's the scenario I was telling before, this is a typical one where you have a corporate website, which is a separate system, a separate team of developers working with that. You have an e-commerce system. You maybe have regular media assets on an FTP server somewhere. Where do you, if you want to move into the future of composable content creation, how can you think when you want to start?
Often initial projects of Contentful is not big rip and replace. It's often you start smaller, maybe one team, and start with one experience. And from that, often it expands because the customer or team see the value of Contentful. And it's also like this as we are not a big monolithic platform, you don't have to do rip and replaces.
And I think it's great when because from our perspective, it's quite common we implement one part, one new solution in the customer's landscape. So for instance, the e-commerce solution, and then they have perhaps a product configurator on the side that utilizes some of the same product information, for instance, but that is coming from an ERP system or a PIM system, or it sits in that repository altogether. So for me, it feels like this is a great tool to kind of bridge and unify the experience between these systems, because historically what you do is you integrate systems in between each other, and then you have common identifiers either for product IDs or content types and similar. Is there something to add how this how you enable headless content to move between systems?
No, but I think one important point here is that we are not the solution that was designed to only serve web content.
Yeah.
We are a platform that is designed to serve content no matter channel system you integrate with. And that enables teams then to start work differently. Now they can actually integrate content that they have in different system or start to promote content in various channels. So we are a platform enabling teams to distribute the content no matter where you are communicating the content.
Because I think that's one of the key differentiators, I believe, because historically what you do is you consolidate content from various systems and you try to push it to a classical CMS.
Yeah.
In this regards, because this classical CMS is more for web page rendering, that's what they were purposely built for. But in this case, you can do a similar exercise, but the benefits are so much greater because you can create and compose content, as we said, we repeated a few times, but you create it once and then that is the golden record.
Yeah.
And then you can distribute it to any kind of device, any kind of channel, and you know it's consistent across teams and channels. I think that's a great takeaway when having a very complex system landscape, I believe. Great. No further questions on there. Is there anything? I mean, there's tons to say, obviously. I mean, what we find is that teams, when we address clients in this space and they see how they can utilize the collaboration aspect, that really brings teams together as well. You can have a classical marketing team, an e-commerce team, and a sales team that sits and operates in separate silos actually collaborate more around the content assets. So I believe sales teams will be more engaged with marketing teams because you can have the corporate website actually working as a lead generation tool to free up time for sales reps actually focusing on closing these complex deals, and the marketing teams can also benefit from seeing how much their content is being viewed and shared and so on. So I think that's great. Great. I believe we are done in this in this webinar. I think for us, Robert, Johannes, on distance, if there is anything, just reach out to us. We're happy to engage further. But for now, I say thank you for watching and see you next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.